There are only so many ways for us to approach an island full of unknown people who may want to kill us.
The world is full of beautiful landscapes, buildings, and places you need to see to believe. But often these destinations come with a risk. From gang-run slums to reptile-infested islands and crystal caves, today we're exploring some of the deadliest places in the world, where one small slip can lead to a brutally painful death. Why is this island restricted to only military personnel and scientists? How did this man survive what looks like a fiery pit to hell? And how did a lake kill 1,700 people in one night?
It's a very dangerous spot. Many people have died here. It goes down 150 meters. We wouldn't live to tell the tale. We have to be very careful.
Welcome to Youngest Road, known by many as Death Road. The name says it all. If you're traveling through Bolivia, you'll want to avoid this 40-mile route. With a drop of more than 2,000 feet in some areas, this used to be the only route connecting the administrative capital city of La Paz with the Amazon rainforest. This led to many merchants traveling the road regularly, risking their lives to sell crops and wood. Combine a lack of safety measures with frequent fog, landslides, waterfalls, and lanes under 10 feet in width, and you have yourself one of the most dangerous roads in the world. On average, the road used to claim the lives of up to 300 people a year. One of the worst accidents happened in 1983, when a bus containing over 100 people plummeted over the edge. The incident is considered one of the worst bus accidents of all time. Thankfully, a safer route was built in the late 2000s, reducing the number of drivers on the road and deaths. Surviving an accident like that is nearly impossible. Bracing for impact is your best option, but the safest thing to do is avoid the road at all costs. Today, Death Road is a popular tourist attraction for thrill-seeking bikers. It's still incredibly risky. Since 1998, at least 20 cyclists have lost their lives on the route. Locals still use the road as well, but not nearly as often. Our next location is Indiana Jones's worst nightmare.
Son of a...
These are special conditions you can never find anywhere else. And here is the biggest abundance of venomous snakes in the world.
Ilha Queimada Grande doesn't seem like such a bad place if you don't speak Portuguese. But when you learn its translation is Snake Island, you start to wonder why anyone would go near this place. Just over 20 miles off the coast of Brazil, Snake Island is home to thousands of golden lanceheads, a pit viper that can only be found here. It's believed there is one snake for every square meter of land. With no mammals on the island, nothing is keeping the snake population in check, at least naturally, but we'll touch on that in a bit. This also means there is very little prey, and these hungry snakes have resorted to catching birds to curb their appetites. With extremely fast-acting venom, a bite from a lancehead can cause kidney failure, internal bleeding, and, if left untreated, death. It's no surprise that visitors are banned from the island to protect unsuspecting victims and the snakes. Sadly, habitat loss, disease, and illegal poaching have caused the snakes' numbers to dwindle. Legend has it that a fisherman stopped by the island to grab some bananas, but was found days later in a pool of blood in his rowboat. Other tales include a family who operated the island's lighthouse, only to be attacked by snakes that slithered in through their windows while they slept. Luckily for you, we did a whole episode on how to survive Snake Island, so check that out after this. I salute those in the community who risk their lives for the greater good of science. And our next location is a great example of that.
We walked into the room and we didn't know what to expect. And you kind of, you turn around and there's a sea of these masks, and it was terrifying.
In 1986, a reactor at the Chernonbyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine exploded, causing the largest uncontrolled radioactive release into the environment ever recorded. The explosion killed one technician immediately, with another dying a few days later in the hospital from injuries. Within months, dozens of firefighters, workers, and those involved with the cleanup also died due to the extreme exposure to leftover radiation from the fallout. Over time, the area has become less hazardous, but that doesn't mean it's completely safe, which is why they named it the Chernonbyl Exclusion Zone. Official tours are available within an 18.5-mile radius, covering parts of the border between Belarus and Ukraine. Upon entering and leaving, you're scanned for radiation levels just to be safe. Occasionally, if your clothes or shoes have high levels of radiation, you may need to toss them as you're leaving. So maybe leave your Jordans at home. Seriously, if you don't know what you're doing, you can get really sick. Acute radiation syndrome, or ARS, is caused by exposure to high levels of ionizing radiation. Symptoms include vomiting, fatigue, and in severe cases, death. Most recently, the Russian military was affected by ARS.
Ukrainian authorities say Russian soldiers have left the Chernobyl nuclear power plant after suffering acute radiation sickness.
Some areas are thriving with lush forests and tons of wildlife. However, biologist Igor Shizhevsky claims that under the fur and hide, the DNA of most species has become unstable. Moving on, if you're into caves, you may want to say your prayers before heading here.
The crystal cave isn't just hot, it's deadly. The crystals are searing hot to touch, razor sharp, but also soft, like human fingernails.
The Cave of the Crystals, located in Nika Mountain, Chihuahua, Mexico, is one of nature's most beautiful creations. It's also deadly. Heated by a magma chamber 1.5 miles below the cave, tourists are not permitted to enter. With temperatures of 120 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity levels nearing 100%, even those with professional equipment have a hard time lasting more than 30 minutes. To survive, you would need to find ways of cooling your body down very quickly. Some scientists have been able to explore the cave for an hour, thanks to cooling suits equipped with chilled, breathable air attached to respirators. And if you don't have one of those handy, well, your lungs will fill up with fluid and you'll be dead within minutes. A couple of miners discovered the cave in 2000. They realized how dangerous the place was and the mine was quickly sealed off. Another miner allegedly snuck into the cave in an effort to steal some of the crystals. But sadly, reports claim he quickly lost consciousness and was found dead. Some areas are better left alone. They're uninhabitable. The same can be said about our next island, unless you're indigenous to the land.
Perhaps trying to say that if you stay on, I will carve out your heart. I got the hint.
Located within the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, North Sentinel Island is home to the Sentinelese, an indigenous tribe that kills on sight. Protected by the Indian government, which has implemented a 3-mile radius ban on anyone visiting the island, the tribe has quite a history of hostility toward visitors. The ban is also to prevent the tribe from being wiped out due to a lack of immunity to diseases and common viruses. Although exact numbers are hard to come by, most sources believe the tribe's population is around 200. 3 people have been confirmed killed while trying to visit the island, including a missionary who took things too far. We did a whole episode on his terrifying story, so be sure to check that out. When contacting an isolated tribe, you need to be very aware of body language. If they seem hostile or threatening, you'll want to back off. Respecting their space and territory is your safest bet for survival. Our next spot isn't illegal to visit, but it could get you in some serious heat. Some call it the door to hell, others the gates to hell. The Darvaza Gas Crater in Turkmenistan is a fiery pit, 230 feet in diameter and 100 feet deep. The crater's origin is disputed. Some say it opened in 1971, after Soviet authorities were digging for oil and realized methane was spewing out. They planned to light the crater on fire and let the methane reservoir burn itself out. They didn't expect it to continue burning more than 50 years later. But if you ask geologists in Turkmenistan, they dispute this claim.
They say that the crater actually formed in the late 1960s and was gurgling with gas and mud for quite a few years and wasn't actually ignited until the 1980s.
Regardless, one thing is certain. One misstep and you'll be charred to death in seconds. An exact temperature hasn't been confirmed, but sources believe it's over 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. George Karunas, an explorer, was the first to descend into the crater in 2013. His goal was to collect soil samples for testing. And even with protective heat-resistant gear and specialized tools, he said he felt like a baked potato as he entered.
You have to put all of your trust in the process, in the people, in the technology, the equipment, your training, everything, and you take that one step.
After an expedition like that, you'd likely want to cool off in a nice stream. But some bodies of water are much more menacing than they appear. The Strid is a portion of the River Wharfe in Yorkshire, England. At its narrowest point, it is 6 feet wide. Appearing shallow on the surface, this body of water is deadly. With a depth of 213 feet and strong rapids, some victims are never found. Hidden crevices, sharp rocks, and unpredictable flash floods are all a recipe for disaster. Surviving the Strid is nearly impossible, with locals claiming it has a 100% fatality rate. While that's not necessarily true, your odds of getting out, especially without a group of friends coming to your aid, is very unlikely. In August 1998, Barry and Lynn Collette, a newlywed couple on their honeymoon, disappeared while walking by the river. A search team was deployed, and within a day, Lynn's body turned up. Barry's body was eventually discovered in October, 10 miles downstream by a local out for a walk. Reports believe the two got caught by a flash flood, with the water rising 5 feet in less than a minute. Although exact numbers are hard to come by, the Strid is believed to have killed numerous people, dating back to the 12th century. As a popular tourist destination with an ominous history, the area now has warning signs to help prevent further deaths. Some of those deaths could have been prevented if travelers hadn't tried to cross the stream, but this next body of water killed over 1,000 people in one night, all without making a sound.
It was completely invisible. You could only know there was danger when you saw birds falling down and dying, the animals dying around. You couldn't see clearly.
Lake Nyos is a crater lake located in Cameroon. With livestock and crops surrounding it, it appeared to be a safe spot to settle. That is until August 21st, 1986, the day of the Lake Nyos disaster. Sitting atop a pocket of magma, carbon dioxide is constantly being released into Nyos. The water could usually hold the gas at its bottom, but on the day of the disaster, scientists believe a rock slide pushed the gas upward. This led to a limnic eruption, shooting a cloud of carbon dioxide out of the lake 328 feet high and spreading across the surrounding land. Those working outside passed out within seconds, and some died almost immediately. The total death toll from the eruption was more than 1,700 people. Residents as far as 15.5 miles from the lake were killed by the cloud. After 36 hours of being unconscious, others woke up to the horror of their families, friends, and livestock dead. Since the disaster, pipes have been installed in the lake to help control the flow of gas and reduce the risk of another catastrophe. Although this will certainly help, the threat of another eruption could happen at any time. The lake's natural walls are acting as a dam, which could rupture sometime in the future. As of 2016, they've been working to artificially reinforce the lake's walls. Hopefully, this will prevent another massacre, but I'm not so sure I'd want to risk living near such a potentially hazardous lake. Thankfully, Cameroon is big enough that you can move away from the danger. The same can't be said for an island full of monsters. Komodo Island in Indonesia is home to nearly 3,500 Komodo dragons. Reaching lengths of up to 10 feet and weighing over 350 pounds, Komodos can only be found on a handful of islands in the area. While their bite force is substantially less than that of a croc, these things might not seem that deadly, but their muscular necks and sharp teeth are strong enough to rip limbs out of sockets. Their mouths are also full of bacteria and venom that stops blood from clotting. So all in all, avoiding Komodo Island is your best bet at surviving it. If you are keen to visit the island, which hosts tourists regularly, you'll need to be with a guide who is well equipped to handle these unpredictable predators. In 2007, an 8-year-old boy was ambushed and mauled to death by a Komodo when he went behind a bush to go to the bathroom. Although they're not known to target humans regularly, these opportunistic hunters are known to attack unsuspecting victims. In 2019, one tourist felt the wrath of a Komodo bite when he ignored warnings and got too close to one for a photo. Surviving a Komodo dragon encounter depends on the severity of the bite and how quickly you can get medical attention. Staying aware of your surroundings and keeping a safe distance from them is a good place to start. Sometimes it's animals, other times it's natural disasters, but our final spot is known for having one of the most ruthless gangs in the world.
Tal vez porque no quieren que difundan toda la verdad y pues es parte de la organización.
Ciudad, Juarez, Mexico is known as one of the most violent cities in the world, with rival cartels killing each other and innocent bystanders. Visiting here may put your life in danger. In 2024, the city had over 1,100 homicides, which is actually an improvement from the 3,000 homicides recorded in 2010. Still, with a murder rate of 71 per 100,000, it's not an ideal vacation spot. To put this in perspective, New York City's is 5.3 per 100,000. As a tourist who may not be aware of contested zones, you can find yourself in serious trouble or be executed on the spot, depending on who you run into. In 2019, 9 women and children, some as young as 10 months old, were shot and killed while traveling in a 3-car convoy. Thankfully, 5 children were taken to hospital and survived. Investigations determined it was a case of mistaken identity. The bodies were found burned in their cars. Even with attempts to clean up the city and reduce gang-related violence, it seems to be a near impossible task.
¿Por qué se pierde una niña de 15 años? Pues porque eso es lo que más piden. Entre más chicas, mejor.
Yikes. Okay. I think I'll just stick to my beach resort. Regardless of where you're traveling, always stay up to date with advisories and be extra careful if you're going to any of the places mentioned on our list. For all you avid travelers and dark tourists out there, let us know in the comments if you've visited any of these places or if there are any we've left out. And if you're interested in an in-depth look at one of the most dangerous countries in the world, we did a video all about the dark side of North Korea, so check that out. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time on another episode of How to Survive.